One guy who has proven to be savvy is Landry Jones. Pulling out a big win on Sunday.
Nice set.
Now he's going to get the start when Pittsburgh goes to Arrowhead to play the Kansas City Chiefs. We talked about this with Mike Vick earlier, and you docked Antonio Brown and everybody else in that receiving corps, even Heath Miller a little bit as well. And I think with Landry Jones, you don't prop all those guys back up to the spot where they were before Big Ben got hurt, but I think you're getting pretty close to that.
You may have seen the tweet I had on Monday. If I had known, and there's no way of knowing.
I did see this tweet.
If I had known that Landry Jones was going to play a half or whatever, I would have started Martavis Bryant in both the leagues that I have him, lost both of them on close calls with him getting his, 6 catches for $137 and 2 touchdowns, including an 85-yarder.
Yes.
You know, and if you're in a league that rewards bonus points for 50-yard catches or 50-yard touchdowns or, it's a killer. It's an absolute killer. That's how much I dislike Mike Vick. But the thing that makes me laugh, remember when Big Ben went down?
Yes.
And they played this national thing of Chris Rose and Deion Sanders on NFL Network getting in this little hubbub about Chris Rose, referred to him as a backup. He's no longer a good quarterback.
Right.
And Deion went crazy saying that he is clearly number one. Well,
black don't crack.
Last week, Deion said apparently he conceded that Mike Vick is no longer number one pick, but didn't acknowledge that he was wrong.
Sure.
He just said it as if it was common knowledge.
It was so obvious, right?
And so it's one of those things where I like Michael Vick. He still throws a beautiful ball in theory, but he doesn't throw it accurate. It looks great in the air.
It does.
And
it's
he
gorgeous.
can still run in the open field, but give me Landry Jones. Landry Jones is a poor man's version of Ben Jones.
Yes.
Ben Roethlisberger, but he absolutely fits that offense. There's an old joke when Steve Young became the 49ers quarterback over Joe Montana in 1991.
Right.
There was an old joke that Jerry Rice demanded to be traded to the 49ers scout team because he didn't like playing with Steve Young because he had to learn catching a left-hander ball and spin, and he wanted to play with Montana, who was his guy for all those years. Ironically, Rice and Montana to Rice would be superseded by Young to Rice as the most prolific QB to receiver touchdown tandem in history. But at first, Jerry Rice was not a big fan of Steve Young because he loved Joe Montana as his QB.
Well, change sucks. And
Glad you liked the joke, by the way.
I did. No,
not my joke. Andrea Kramer's joke. Full credit, about sometime 1991.
It was fantastic. Well, let me go back to Michael Vick there for a second, because you hit the nail on the head with Deion Sanders. Nobody wants to think of him as a guy who's washed up, as a journeyman, which is exactly what he's been since he came back after the bad news kennel situation. When you put a guy like that on your team, and number one goes down, you have to play him. And I'm not saying he's a locker room cancer. I don't know. But I think there's sort of that elephant in the room when the number one quarterback goes down and Michael Vick is not playing because he was able to do all those other things. Whether or not he can do them now is irrelevant. People still look at Michael Vick and think, oh, this guy is, going to set the world on fire, even though clearly they had to start him for 3 weeks for everybody to realize, no, maybe he can't.
Exactly.